to Bad Larry.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Bad Larry Kingdom. I'm your host, Bad Larry, and we are revisiting, because it is spooky season, The Tomb of Dracula, issue number 3, To Stalk a Vampire. Now, this issue was published July 1972 and is written by Archie Goodwin and Gene Colan. But first, we gotta rate that cover. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. It means a lot to me. And now let's get on to the rating. I rated this cover 96%. Now what you get a lot of detail on this cover. You know, this is 1972. Gene Colan, he's a bit of a pioneer. You know, you're trying to get the most bang for your buck. They don't know what they can and can't do in terms of making covers. Stan Lee, the Marvel, this company is less than a decade old, really, and they're just trying to do their best to tell a story and attract customers. I think this is fantastic. What I also like is the female in this on the cover. She's in purple and green, which is typically the colors of a villain, but in this cover, she's depicted as the victim. So I like the use of color. I like all of the detail. I gave it a 96%. A little bit of the cobwebs and a little bit too thick. Some of the lines are a little bit too thick, and maybe I think they may have tried to put too much on the cover. But I give them a pass. It's 1972. I thought they did a great job. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. The setting is night. London fog is surrounding everything. Our protagonist is on a London bridge. His name is Frank Drake, and he's looking to jump off the bridge. But why? If you haven't checked out my Tomb of Dracula issue number 1 and 2, check those out. They're bangers. But just to get you caught up, Frank Drake is a descendant of Dracula. He's related to Dracula. He hates that fact. And when he inherited or purchased the Dracula's castle, his jackass friend took the stake out of Dracula's heart, reanimating Dracula back to life. Dracula then bit and turned his girlfriend, the love of his life, Jeannie, into a vampire, in which Frank Drake had to kill her and turn her to dust. So because of these reasons, Frank Drake is looking to just end it all. The same lady that was on the cover of this comic and her very large Indian friend with the turban on stumbles across our protagonist, Frank Drake, moments before he's about to take the deathly plunge over the bridge. And in those small moments where he's teetering between stability and falling, the large Indian man rushes over with immense strength for a normal human. But because of his huge size, he's able to grab Frank Drake and lift him back to safety with ease. And who is this blonde lady that helped save Frank Drake's life? Well, it's none other than Rachel Van Helsing. Yes, her kin is the one who wound up driving the stake initially into Dracula's heart. So she comes from the Van Helsing lineage. Her mission, along with her companion who is mute. The Indian man does not say a word. His name is Taj. He's got the purple turban on. You know, one of the things, they didn't kind of get Taj's coloring right. He looks like he's gray, but for 1972, it is what it is. But Van Helsing is writing in style, baby. She got that Rolls Royce. She got that Rolls Royce Phantom with the suicide doors, okay? And inside, she tells Frank Drake, hey, I'm on a mission to kill Dracula. You want to join that mission, buddy? The barman taps on the Yankee's shoulder. Hey, Yankee, you can't stay here all night. And Clifton Graves, this is the former partner to our protagonist, Frank Drake, this brown-haired fella. This brown-haired fella was Frank Drake's partner. He was his best friend, and not only did he try to steal his girl, he tried to steal all his money. He's a dirtbag piece of crap. And now he's terrified for his life. He doesn't want to leave the bar. He knows it's dark outside. And he knows Dracula's alive because he's the one that pulled the stake out of Dracula's heart and reanimated him. But the barkeep ain't playing no games. He's got stuff to do. He's got a family at home. He can't be sitting there all night for any kind of money. He tosses Clifton right out on his ass. And just like Clifton feared, he looks up, and who could it be but Count Dracula himself? But Dracula doesn't kill Clifton, no. Dracula needs him a slave. And what better to make the slave but the person who freed you from your slumber? So Dracula uses his mind-eye control and causes Clifton to become his slave. And Clifton's mission is to go find Dracula's original casket, because Dracula needs to sleep in his casket, which has his Transylvania earth in it. That's what allows him to slumber for real. Plus, he got some other things hiding in that casket. So while Dracula has his slave Clifton now going doing his errands, he needs to go out and get him a little snack. And that snack comes in the form of a green-skirted brunette poor lady. She probably isn't going to make it back home. Taj, the Indian fella and driver, pulls the Rolls-Royce Phantom into an alley, and they trio exit the Phantom, and we can see that Van Helsing has an arsenal of vampire fighting utensils. No, you don't need bullets and rifles. You need stakes and crosses. That's what you need to kill a vampire. They're getting armed up and booted up to get this job done. They're on the hunt for Dracula himself. Meanwhile, Clifton, Dracula's slave, has found the coffin that he was searching for. And if you're a Dracula, if you're an ancient being, you're gonna be collecting up some pretty good coinage through your time. And because you slumber for so long, the best way to invest your finances into solid gold coins. And that's exactly what Dracula has done. He loaded up the bottom of this coffin with a fake bottom loaded with gold coins, because when he awakens from his slumber, he can't have some 200-year-old money to go spend around. Everyone will be suspicious. But Dracula, he can't be living in no single family one-bedroom apartment. He's the Count. He needs to be pimping like he deserves to be. So, gold coins it is. And this guy that was helping Clifton sees all of the gold coins, and this greedy little porky pig, pink jacket fella thinks that he's gonna start scooping up these gold coins for himself. I don't think so. Dracula appears, it seems, out of nowhere. The pink jacketed man who's trying to steal Dracula's gold sees the murder in Dracula's eyes. The fear is overtaking him. He's starting to back up inch by inch, and he runs bang into a human brick wall that is Clifton. And because Clifton is under the mesmerized spell of Dracula's gaze, he doesn't move an inch. Even though Clifton is just a mere man, his whole cellular structure is now a slave to the will of Dracula. So he knows he's not to move. This poor fella is caught between a rock in Clifton and the biting teeth of Dracula. And he's starting to look in Dracula's eyes, and it's not going to fare well for old Pink Jacket. I think he's going to get the old bite in the neck. Meanwhile, the trio of heroes, Frank Drake, Van Helsing, and Taj, the Indian man, hear the man scream, and they all run down into the basement where they fear the scream has come from. But are they in time? Are they in time to save the pink-jacketed man? The poor pink-jacketed man is dead. He was hidden inside the coffin that had occupied Dracula. But Dracula and Clifton had set this pink-jacketed man, the night porter, as a bit of a trap. Dracula and Clifton burst out from behind the shadows, and Frank Drake, with all his courage and all of his norepinephrine, lunge at Dracula because he has such hatred for Dracula. He shoves that cross right in Dracula's face, pushing Dracula back and back. But Clifton comes in with the save, and with this heavy bag of gold coins, he wallops Frank Drake right across the face, knocking him out cold. Unfortunately, this bag that was holding all the gold is old as, and it rips. All the gold is tink, 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 falling all over the place. And Clifton is upset because he knows that's his master's gold. But there's no time. Right now, Taj, the giant man Indian, is starting to lunge at Dracula, but Dracula has the strength of 20 men or more, and he backhands Taj right out of the picture, and he comes after Van Helsing, the female, the lone conscious protagonist. He backs her up into a corner, but underneath that green cloak is the Van Helsing crossbow with a wooden tip. She aims it true with her Van Helsing heritage and launches a bolt straight at Dracula's heart. But Dracula is quick as a cat, or should I say a bat. Dracula and Clifton run out the door, and with the magical wind that is somehow attracted and is controlled by Dracula, it slams the door shut behind them, locking our three heroes inside the room: Frank Drake, Rachel Van Helsing, and Taj, the Indian man. And they're slamming on that door. Let us out. They've got to get after Dracula. They can't let him get too far away. They know he's a monster. He's a murderous monster. Plus, no one likes to be trapped in the room. So Taj, he's the strongest of them all. He takes his turn. Bang after bang after bang. And finally, Taj, with his more than just normal strength, is able to break the door down. But who's waiting on the other side of him? Scotland Yard. It's not looking too good for our heroes. They're trapped inside, and they have a dead body in a casket. The police are saying, "Oh God, give it up, y'all three murdered this poor fella." And inside Scotland Yard, the officers, a bit amused that Rachel Van Helsing isn't even concerned with the charge of murder. All of her degrees, all of her occult knowledge tells her that she'll be able to get off easy peasy of any charge. All the evidence will show that they're not murderers. Meanwhile, the object inside, a moving van, a hired van, driven by Clifton, inside the contents, Count Dracula rests. When you're a slave to Count Dracula, there ain't no time for sleeping or taking breaks or nothing. You just do what you gotta do, get the job done. That's why Clifton Graves' eyes are wide and beady. He doesn't blink, he doesn't do anything. He has to get where he has to get. And he goes back and opens up the crate and sees that his master is in the casket sleeping. But where has Clifton taken Dracula? We'll find out here shortly. Meanwhile, down in the morgue, the greedy little fella, the greedy little night portman who tried to steal Dracula's gold, and the victim of Dracula's bloodthirsty thirst, has now awakened. No longer human, no longer a man, but one of Dracula's vampire slaves. He's driven by a thirst he cannot even compare to anything. This thirst is driving him. But luckily, Van Helsing and her team of Frank Drake and Taj are just upstairs. And as the newly formed vampire stumbles out of the morgue, he's met with a cross in his face. Van Helsing, Frank Drake, and Taj all use crosses to corner this newly formed vampire up against a wall. This newly formed vampire, the portly little pink-jacketed man. He can't take the pressure. He has no strength because he hasn't drunk blood yet. He doesn't have the full strength of a vampire. And Van Helsing is directing Taj. Now, man, now you must hammer that stake through his heart. The poor Scotland Yard chief is saying, is this necessary? What can we? No. Van Helsing says, shut up, Baldy. We have to do this. This thing is no longer a man. He's a monster. And Taj drives the stake right through his heart. And even though that they've done this numerous times, killing, it still takes its toll on them. It's still never easy to dispatch of the vampire. Even though they're a monster, they still look like a man, and the idea of killing it still churns their stomach. But what's got to be done must be done. Meanwhile, a lawyer by the name of Mr. Langston shows up to a very old looking mansion. Inside, he's met with a butler, an old butler. There's no lights. The butler's only using candles. Mr. Langston is complaining. Why doesn't the lady of the manor invest in some lamps? She got the money. The butler says the harsh light is too much for her. She doesn't like the harsh light, and we'll find out why. You see that there's many paintings on the wall, many pictures of a quite beautiful young lady, a model even. Maybe this is a reason why the lady of the manor doesn't like harsh light. As she's growing older, the light reveals her age and the loss of beauty. We finally arrive to the lady of the manor, and Mr. Langston is looking around. Everywhere he's seen occult stuff, Dracula book, old Dracula book, this very old, beautiful, ornate mirror that is chilling to look at because the image inside is black. And Mr. Langston, the lawyer, is telling the lady of the manor that she's out of her mind. The lawyer was a friend of her husband, and he wouldn't approve of the way that she's spending her money. And she bought Dracula's mansion, the one that Frank Drake had inherited and bought, but had burned down. And the lady of the manor has bought it, and now they're saying that there's a prospective buyer. But the lady won't sell. The lady won't sell Dracula's Transylvania castle for any amount of money. She's getting annoyed with the Mr. Langston, and soon we see that Dracula outside, out in the window, has formed. There's a reason this lady will not sell Dracula's castle. In fact, she's looking to attract Dracula. She's thinking that maybe Dracula can help her and turn her back into the beautiful young lady that she dreams that she could be once again, the one that everyone admired. She's willing to trade her humanity to become a vampire and be beautiful again. Wow, what a great episode. I love this series. I'm getting such a great dark, mysterious vibe from this series. I love the fact that you have just regular people fighting against what's seemingly an overpowered monster, and his ability to create slaves and other vampires. It seems like the stack is totally against them. The mood that this comic is creating, the art, all of it is fantastical for that feeling of a classic Dracula tale. So other than a few art problems, like I didn't like how they colored Taj, the Indian man. They made him like a gray. I think that they could have changed that color up for him a bit. But really, other than that, the art was fantastic. The storytelling was fantastic. I rate this issue at 95%. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for Tomb of Dracula episode number 4, or issue number 4, coming real soon. Until then, peace.